Hello, welcome to another tonalist landscape oil painting demonstration. This is your painter in residence, M. Francis McCarthy, and the painting I'm bringing you today is called By the Pool. Painted this last week, and I've used it in my upcoming book. It's on the content page, so pretty happy with it. It's based on a pictorialist photo from the early 1900s, and I painted the scene before like as a little yellow ochre study. I'm way happier with this though, and I really liked the ochre study. I'm not quite sure where that is actually. I've been looking for it. Anyway, maybe I sold it. I'm not sure. Anyway, this is painted on hardboard, 2 layers of transparent gesso to keep the oil paint from being absorbed into the board. And currently you see me doing my drawing slash underpainting with some burnt umber. And I like the burnt umber. I actually really like using like black, but I don't use black that often because it's a very slow dryer. So in this case I did the drawing on one day, and then a couple days later I went in and did a portion of the color, and then a week or so later I finished it up. So it was done in 3 phases. If you do that underpainting with the burnt umber, you can it's dry to the touch the next day. Burnt umber is one of your absolute quickest drying pigments, and so it's good to have that flexibility. There's times, say, when you get interrupted and or maybe you only have time to do a little underpainting. So the original image was like a sepia tone, but this has got some color in it. It's a bit subtle, and mostly you'll see it when we start cracking into the greens, but it has some color in it, and that was colorized using that new feature in Photoshop called Neural Recolor or something like that. It works okay, you know. It's not much different than the kind of thing. Although it's way quicker than what you might do by hand, so it's not a bad starting off point. And again, I'm pretty happy with it. Now, the original image had like 3 figures in it. I usually don't even paint the figures, but here I thought, why not? I'll just throw a little figure in it, and I did. She came out all right. It's very tiny. I mean, not even as big as my fingernail, I would say. Yeah, this is a 5x10 board, which is a great little vertical size, I have to say. Yeah, so we're doing the study with the burnt umber, and when we get into the colors, we stick with a lot of let's see, yellow ochre, titanium white, that titanium buff. Some of the greens I experimented with some this earth verde earth, which is the weakest pigment known to man. But I got a tube off one of my neighbors who was moving, so I thought I'd try it. Raw umber, black, and maybe a little bit of burnt sienna here and there, and that's pretty much it. Oh, and then of course the Mike's green, which has got that acrylide yellow and black in it, which was basically modified with that Terra Verde green, yeah, which is a nice color. It's sort of cool, but it's so weak it has no pigment strength, and I'm gathering from researching it that the Terra Verde pigment in real life, that was simulacrum of Terra Verde, is no longer really available, at least for cheap. So it's a painting the color that the masters used, and which will seg us into the next thing I want to talk about, mastery, right? Secrets of the masters. What are they, right? How do you get there? How do you get there? Well, I can tell you I've been pursuing painting for about, I don't know, 13 years now, something like that. When I started out, I was already a professional commercial illustrator, so I had a good head start in some ways. In other ways, painting is quite a bit different from illustrating, so there was a lot of things I had to unlearn or relearn or do differently. And when I first started out, I had quite a lot of early successes with a style I'd gone after, but It wasn't long before I started trying to get into the tonalism thing, and a few kind of successes, and then a long period of darkness. I'll be honest with you. So many bad paintings, and that era was, say, 2011 to 12 to even 13. And now I did do some good paintings in those years, but quite a lot of the work that I look at from that period, I just don't love it at all. It was just falling short of the mark. But I was trying different things. I was struggling, and I was working hard. And so, that's when we look at the word mastery. What does that mean? What does a master do? Well, a master obviously applies their trade every day. I don't think it's possible to be a master of something without working at it every day. Now, that could indeed be possible after you've achieved mastery, but I don't think it is beforehand. So if mastery is your buzz, and that's where you want, and that it is mine, so that's one of the reasons I'm always talking about it. You need to paint every day. Yeah. You could do something, it doesn't matter if you don't, you could work on some big giant painting every day a little bit, or you could do small paintings like I do. What you do and how you do it is not as important as doing it. And now there's I was watching a video on YouTube, and this guy was making some great statements about mastery and about pursuing mastery. And so you've already heard from you. I was hearing from you on the work hard thing. You got it. I know you got it. So will you do it? Whether you do it is another question. But you got it. I get that. But he had some other ideas. Like he says, and I say this to my students. Like, really identify the artists that do it for you the most. And not just one. It should be 3 or 4 or 5 or 10. It doesn't matter how many, but not just one. Because if you have only one influence, that's going to make you pretty derivative in your efforts to improve, I think. But really dig in and start looking around, see how much of their work you can find online. Create a little folder on your computer or your phone or whatever it is you're using, and start saving those images, and then spend some time looking at their work, and first of all, really try and figure it out what it is you like about their work. What is it that moves you? Why do you think it's so good? And since you've collected the work of a bunch of different artists, what is it that these artists have in common? And that'll start giving you a clue as to what it is that you want to do with your work, because obviously I'm assuming you want to create work that is in line with the people whose work you love. If that's not the case, then that's way too psychological for me. I wouldn't know what to do to help you then. But I think I'm pretty safe in assuming that you would love to do work that was more like the work of your idols. And I think that's all good. And so spend time examining their work. And now I always, and of course there's lots of videos on my channel here of me doing master studies. And I didn't start out that way. I wish I had. I really did. For the first, in fact, what really broke me out of so much of the problems I was having is when I started doing master studies in 2014, and then my work hit another plateau almost immediately. And these plateaus become a little harder to attain as you progress on down the lane. That's a rhyme, eh? But I just recently hit another one, and that's with some of my figurative work. And I have to say, I think in my tonalist landscapes, like even this one, there's an ease and confidence in my work that to me is apparent. Whereas before I can look at some of the things I would do and I would see the struggle. And the struggle is real. Even if you are doing work where you have some more ease and confidence, You're going to find places and times in every painting where you're going to be, in fact, if you're in the master's area, you'll actually hear me say, like, I really don't know what to do next, and I'll have to sit there and think about it. I do have a method, an approach that I use for just about everything, and that is what works for me, is to have boards prepped and ready, have many folders of different sorts of images I want to paint, I know that I'm going to be painting every day. I don't always know what I'm going to paint. Sometimes I think, oh, I'm going to do this scene or that scene tomorrow. But usually I don't. I just come in and sit in the studio and say, right, what do I want to paint? And then I kind of look through my folders of things and I go, ah, yes, that would be good. Do I have a board prepped? Because, and I think that's important, have a bunch of boards prepped and ready so that when inspiration strikes, and now that's not a huge inspiration, what do I want to paint, and you find something to paint, but it's enough. All you need is a spark. You know, that image resonated with you at that time. And there's lots of times I have images that just pass over month after month, and then their time comes and I do that painting, and these days most of the time it works out pretty well. So that's definitely step one. Step one is having boards prepped and ready, images to paint ready. Have and know, like maybe you don't have a studio outside your home. Maybe your studio is just the kitchen table after dinner. If that's the case, then after dinner, clear away those dishes and put your easel on the table and get your paints out. And even if you're going to go maybe do something else for a little bit, know that they're there. Know that you're going to have to paint that night. And it's pretty important that, you know, if you're working at something else, which, let's face it, most people are, it's important that you, you know, even if you were, you know, a bit tired that day or whatever, that you get that, that easel out, get those paints out, and get something done. Otherwise, you'll never get you'll never accomplish your dream of being a better painter. You know. Now, another thing is too, of these, you know, you could do a master study. You could do something based on your own photos. I'm a big believer in messing around with my photos in Photoshop. If I didn't have my set of Photoshop skills, I might use some of these apps that are on the phone these days that sort of make things look artistic and funky, you know, funk it up, you know, get something interesting going on and that inspires you, and then get your brushes out, get your paints out, and make a painting. And I'm not a big fan of, you know, taking days and days and days to do some painting, whether it's big or small. I say if you're going to do a big painting, try and do it in a similar amount of time as a smaller painting. Of course, we know it's going to be a little bit more time or a lot more, but use bigger brushes. Have that mindset, though, that because you know, the fact of the matter is that the amount of time spent on a painting does not determine its value or relative, not so much value, but relative worth. It's how it looks, right? So when I spend an hour or so on something, that's backed up by, you know, 10, 15,000 hours spent painting. Every painting I do is backed up by all that time. So I can make a very fresh, very quick statement. And you might go, well, that's 15 minutes, you know, why is that $100? Well, because yeah, how many paintings can I do in a year, right? You know, it's not like a 40-hour work week divided by X amount of paintings. You know, it doesn't work like that. Anyway, we're getting kind of close to the video. Hopefully those are some thoughts to help you with what you're doing, and not just the usual, you need to work harder. You must work harder, you know. I definitely came from that Protestant work ethic. My mom was German. So working hard, you know, that's just natural for me. It's not natural for everyone, but it can be. Whatever habits, good or bad, you have, they are changeable. So, and I do think it's valuable. Painting is so interesting. It's so fun. Also, yeah, my book is done. I'm going to be printing up some copies for around here locally. Not sure when I'm going to do in the PDF thing. I'm getting kind of alarmed by all of the pirate sites I see and stuff there, but I'm going to try to do something. If you have a desire for a PDF book, send me an email so that I know and I can gauge where the audience is, or leave me a comment here on this video. This painting will be for sale on my site, and good price. I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head, but it's fair, and shipping's included. Satisfaction guarantee included. Members area is a good way to support me. There's a thank you button there. That's a great way to support me. Leave me a comment. That's also a wonderful way to support my endeavors here and let me know I'm not just talking to myself. Anyway, until I come back with another video, do me a favor, do me a solid, take good care of yourself, your family, all your loved ones, and stay out of trouble. God bless you and your family.